everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Lessons with Guitar Man. My name's Aaron, and I'll be your designated driver here today for this really cool version of June Apple. Okay, for those of you out there who watched my last video on June Apple Melody, as promised, this is version 1. I've got 4 more coming after this. So what I basically did here was I took this melody, and then instead of doing it like the actual melody where it goes up to the root like this, I went to the 3rd. And then when it was going to the G, instead of going, I went to the 5th, like so. I don't think I've mentioned this before on my channel, but I'm also a mandolin player, and I learned June Apple early on in my mandolin playing. I kind of feel like this variation, or variation number 1 that I'll be teaching here today, really is kind of mandolinistic, if that's a word. It really reminds me of what a mandolin player might do, and that's kind of how I came up with this version. All right, and if you want to get the backing tracks, the iReel profile, the PDF tab, the PDF music, the ending lick, and so much more information, you can go on over to my Patreon page at patreon.com/lessonswithguitarman, and all that information will be available there for you. So let's go ahead now and dive right in there and see what makes this thing work. All right, and starting off here in measure number 1, what we're going to have is an open, 1, 2, 1. Open, 1, 2, 1. And then the next 4 notes are going to be open, 1, 2, 1 again. So we essentially are repeating the exact same little motif or idea here twice, and that measure altogether sounds like so. 1, 2, ready, go. Now moving on to measure number 2, what we're going to do here is an open, 1, 2, followed by an open on the high E, or the 1st string. So it's open, 1, 2, open. And then the last few notes in this measure are going to be 2, open, 2. And that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, and moving on to measure number 3 now, what we're going to have here is an open, 2, 3, 2, and then we're going to do the exact same thing again, and that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, and then moving on to measure number 4, we're going to have an open, 2, 3, open, open, 2, 3, open, followed by a 3, 2, 3. And that whole measure together, or measure number 4, is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, well, let's go ahead now and play from measures 1 through measure number 4 slowly and see what that sounds like. 1, 2, ready, go. And moving on to measure number 5 now, what you're going to see here in measure number 5 is exactly the same thing as we did in measure number 1. And then measure number 6, you're going to see it is exactly the same as we did in measure number 2, so there's nothing new to learn there. Now, when we get to the 7th measure, we are going to have a little bit of a new string of notes here, and that's going to go like so. We're going to have an open, 2, 3, open, 2, 3, followed by an open, 3, open, 3, open. And that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, And then moving on to the last measure of the A section, what we're going to have here is another new string of notes, and those are going to go like so. You've got a 3, open, 2, open, 3, open, 2, open, followed by a 3, open, 2. That whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, so let's go ahead now and play from measure 5 through measure number 8 slowly and see what that sounds like. So 1, 2, ready, go. Let's go ahead and play the entire A section and see what that sounds like. So 1, 2, you know what to do. All right, well, for all my YouTube subscribers out there, this is the part in the video where I ask you to come on over to my Patreon page where I'll show you how to play the rest of this song. You can get the PDF files, the iReal profiles, the guitar profiles, the backing tracks, the ending lick, and so much more information by going to patreon.com/lessonswithguitarman, where you'll also be able to learn the rest of this tune. So some final thoughts on this tune for you. There's not a lot of tricky stuff going on here in the A section. Basically, you just have a little motif where we're bouncing off the 2nd fret on the B string like this. And then when we go to the G, we're going bouncing off this D here. And other than that, there's not really anything to point out in the A section. And I would highly recommend watching my version or the last video I posted called June Apple Melody, or whatever version of the melody of June Apple you want to learn. Having that under your thumb really is something I think you would need to understand before learning this, because instead of bouncing off the root, we're bouncing off the 3rd and then the 5th on G. And the idea here is I'm just taking the melody and transposing it to another string, to another note, to make it sound like the melody, but it's not exactly the melody. At least that's my twisted idea behind it. All right, well, that's a wrap on this tune. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you have any questions for me, feel free to send me an email listed below in the description. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll be seeing you down the road.